G'day, comrade, and welcome to the Republic with me, Jitty. We're going to be starting a 3-part series covering how to set up your very first town in the Republic. What I want to do is I want to make sure it doesn't matter if you're playing on very easy mode, medium, hard, or realistic. I want to make sure that this series covers absolutely everything. So that means in our very first video, we're going to be placing what we need in the town, covering you up to like the medium difficulty settings. Then in the second video, we're going to be covering what's needed for hard and realistic. You know, everything from how to optimize your construction vehicles to make sure you get things built as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Also, we're going to be covering the extra services that will be required for both hard and realistic settings. Also, we're going to be covering how to set up your very first industry and start turning a profit. Which now means, I'm going to remind you, it would be very profitable if you click the subscribe button now so you don't miss out on the second and third video in the series. In the third video, we're going to be covering what I like to call stage 2 of the town, where we expand the town. We also cover some spots where we might have taken a shortcut earlier on to save on construction costs and time. So with that out of the way, let's get into, well, setting up the new game. So new game, we're going to go for a custom game. I'm going to intentionally choose a new Republic is Born. That way we're both on the exact same map, the exact same difficulty settings. Now, very easy. It makes life very, very easy. We're going to set this one to, well, medium. Let's start with medium. We're going to go with medium. It turns off a few things. So we don't have to deal with water management, waste management, maintenance. Also don't have to deal with, well, traffic. And we can set the sunlight to always day. I want to make sure this is viewable by everybody. We're going to do a couple of things for YouTube reasons. First off, I'm going to set everything to always day. Second thing I want to do, because you can change the difficulty settings at any time, is I want to change the money amount. That's the only thing I can't change mid-game to hard. So it's ready for the second video where we cover things on hard and realistic. But with that out of the way, I'm going to click start new game. We're going to generate a map. And we're also going to ask you at the very same time, well, can I borrow a like? I just like to borrow a like. I like to borrow a like early in the video. If you're not happy with the video, you didn't enjoy the video, well, that's perfectly fine. You can have your like back. All right, once you get into the game, very first thing you want to do is you want to pause. It's going to be very, very important. You don't want to waste any time. You don't want the clock running. Now, I need to do some changes. I need to just readjust things a little bit to make sure that we're all on the same page. So first thing up here is we have well, the wind direction. We don't care what the wind direction is. What we do care is we care what the temperature is. So we're going to click that a couple of times till that gets to temperature. Whether you're playing in Celsius or Fahrenheit, that's entirely up to you. Next thing I want to do is I want to set up our shortcut bar. Now we have multiple bars across here. You can set up a whole bunch of bars if you want. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that we have the identical settings in case you want to play along, you want to follow along as closely as possible. So what I want to do is I want to set up these hotkeys, which are 1 through to 10 on the keyboard, and I want to add some tools. The first tool I want to add is the pick building infrastructure tool. If I have this in my hand, I click on anything, a road, a power pole, a depot, whatever it happens to be, I get that building instead. It means I don't have to go hunting through the menus. If I happen to see something I want, like a road, nice and local, I can just press that, click on the road, and then I have the road in my hand to then start building. Next thing I want to do is I want to set up the second tool, which is the tool for measurement. This is very, very handy for measuring distances, obviously. Also at the same time, you can see how the terrain moves, the elevation profile, and also, well, the height over the cursor. It's going to be very, very important if you want to work out sewerage and that sort of stuff, but we'll worry about that later. At the moment, it's just a measuring tool. It's a tape measure. Everybody's life is easy with a tape measure. Next thing I want is still under terrain tools. I want to have the demolish button. Now, the demolish button is very dangerous. It demolishes everything and anything. So I also want a couple of specialized demolish tools. I want a cancel road button, and I want the cancel footpath button. They're really my top 5 buttons that I'm going to be using, so that'll do us for right now. We're going to close that. Next thing I want to do is I want to pop over here. So over here, normally it defaults to auto build using rubles or build from resources. What I want to do is I want to change this to build from resources because I don't want anything accidentally building straight away from rubles. I prefer to have that conscious thought of, okay, well, we will batch auto construct using rubles and then be able to drag a box over the area and have something be built. Next, I want to say build from build from resources, just so I have the option to buy things with ruble if I need to. Also, that's the setting, that's the default setting. It's the only setting available for realistic mode, but I'm going to turn off active construction. So that way nothing's going to auto build. I need to manually tell things to start building. Next one, I want to change the max workers without construction office. This is going to be very, very important for your first town, because the last thing you want to do is put in a house and have all the workers that are meant to be, you know, doing important things like being in the shopping center making sure people can buy food, run over to a construction site, which means at the end of the day, there was nobody in the shopping center, so nobody had any food to eat when they went home. That leads to bad things. We will change that down to 10. Okay, with that done, we're going to pop that out of the way. We're going to have a quick look at the mini map. This is what the island, well, what the map looks like. We have the red border, which is, well, adjoining Republic. We also have the blue borders, which are the NATO borders, and we're going to be starting right in front of us, right here. Now, we want to do a couple of things. First off, this is the customs office. This is where all our resources are going to come from to get us started. Also, when we're selling resources, well, this is going to be our logical selling point. It has a couple of road connections. If I just bring up roads, it has a couple of road connections, also has a couple of rail connections, and it has a power connection over here. So this has everything we need to get started. What I do want to do is I want to press number 2 to bring up my tool for measurement, and I want to drag from here, roughly in a straight line, out to around about 1,300 meters, roughly. Okay. With that done, I want to put in a dirt road, and we're just going to be putting that sideways there as a marker, so I know that that's roughly 1,300 meters. Just want to have some distance from the border. Obviously, the closer we build to the border, the quicker we're going to be able, the quicker and cheaper we can get resources delivered to our construction areas. The catch is, well, I don't really want to crowd the border either. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to delete all points. I want to go back to my measurement tool by pressing 2. I want to pick this location, and I want to stretch this out around about 400 meters. And I want to check in around about 400 meters, everything's relatively flat. It looks to be. We can press F1 to turn on the grid. We're not going to be building on the grid. Nothing in the Republic was ever built on a grid. Just accept it and move on. The grid is there if you want to use it. You can press F1 to turn on the grid so you can see it. You can press F1 again to lock to the grid. So if I pick up a road now, it's going to only lock to grid locations, which can be handy. Personally, I like turning off the grid, but we'd also press F2 to see a topographic view. So I can see, well, that's lots of red lines. That's a mountain. We can see this is slowly leveling out till it gets to the water. And we can see that this area here is very, very flat. Perfect for our first town. All right, let's turn that off with F2. And then I want to grab this. And we're going to go from the customs house. And we're just going to grab one road for right now. And we're going to drag this out in a roughly straight line. Now, we can see the azimuth there, the azimuth of 1 degree, which means I'm tilting 1 degree left or right. Turns out I was 1 degree to left. If we go to here, that's saying it's relatively straight. And we're going to go 2,000 meters. That'll do. Cool. We have a straight road from the customs house all the way down to here. All right, next I want to use the demolition tool, number 3. And if I click on this, that'll make the road go away. My other option is I can use number 4, which will just demolish roads. Won't remove all the trees, and I can just remove the road. If I hold down Control at the same time with this in my hand, it'll remove the whole road section, which could be very dangerous. Okay, now we need to go through the basics of what we're going to need in the town. Now, town is going to need a number of things to be up and running. They're going to be in residential. So can I grab food and shopping? We don't want a grocery store. That's going to be too small for us. This is going to be a major part of our republic. We want to have a small shopping center. One of the many small shopping centers, we have a couple of options. There are bigger ones, but for right now, we're going to stick to small because I need to keep things inside a budget. Now, we can see what the construction cost is up there, but if I change back to auto build with rubles, we can then see what that would cost us in rubles to build each one of these buildings. What I want to aim for is, well, I want to aim for one of the buildings that is going to give us the best connections to get us started, and then we can always put in a larger supermarket later. Now, each supermarket is good for, well, a certain amount of visitors to visit at once, and a total population count as well. Generally, it's about 20 times what the max amount of visitors is. So we can see that this one's good for 400 people, which means it's going to be good to a population of up to about 8,000. If I look at this for argument's sake, it has a max amount of visitors of 150, which means it's good to a max population of about 3,000. If you go over 3,000, you want to start looking at another shopping center. We're going to, well, look at our different shopping centers. If I scroll the mouse wheel, it will rotate. If I hold down the control, it'll get rid of that little tag that told us how much it was going to cost. And that's the only 2 buttons we need to worry about right now. But if we put down a small shopping center, this is 25 workers, 150 people. We can see it has a road connection, has a couple of path connections, and I need that back in my hand, and also has a factory connection. That's what we really care about. We really care about the factory connection. We can see this one has, if I hold down control, 3 factory connections. This one has 2 factory connections, and this one has 1 factory connection. Also, at the same time, if we don't want to build one of the footpaths or something, we can hold down control, and it will not automatically add the footpaths, the factory connections, the other things to the building. So we're really looking for, actually, if I bring that back up, we're looking for this style or this style. I want to have at least 2 factory connections. One for, well, if we look on the details of the building, one has a warehouse. Well, it has a warehouse and a cold storage. I want to plug both of those in via the factory connections. That way I don't have to worry too much about, well, transporting materials to the town. And instead, we can just have it be brought in via factory connection. I don't want to have the first one, really demolish this building. Yes, if you don't like that dialogue, you've already made up your mind, you really want to demolish it, you hold down control, you won't get that dialogue. All right. So I want to have either this one or, no, this one or this one. So these are 25 workers for 150 people. This is 30 workers for 180 people. We're going to choose to have this one because it's a slightly smaller footprint. So now we know exactly which one we want, and it's going to be that one. Actually, can I put you back there? All right. Next thing I want to do is we need to make some ground rules for the town. So first off, ground rules for the town. Can I create a new city area? We're going to be clicking right there. I don't like the name that we have here, so we're going to call this new town. We're going to keep things simple. Okay, nice and simple. This city marker I don't like. We're going to click X and get rid of it. Everything inside those blue dots is going to be called New Town. New Town Shopping Center. That's fine by me. All right, so we have a shopping center. Our shopping center is going to need a couple more details, and one of them is going to be a storage. We need to pick a warehouse, so this is under the general cargo. We have a warehouse. We have multiple different warehouses here. They all have different costs. We're going to be looking at this particular warehouse. Main reason is it holds the least amount of material. Yeah, I know, it's a weird way of looking at it, but it's also one of the cheaper ones. So you're 12,000, yours 4,000, 8,000, 13,000, 27,000. Yeah, we're going to go with the cheap one. It's already going to hold, where are we? Food, 100 tons worth of food, or 100 tons worth of clothes, or 70 tons worth of electronics. People are going to want those in some sort of ratio. That is if it's maxed out. We're not going to be maxing out, but I want one of these. I don't need this connected. We're just placing things so we know what we need to build the town, which we're going to be doing off the main road. So we want one of those. At the same time, I do want a meat storage. We're not going to be building a meat storage right now. This will be part of our stage 2. So that's the 3rd video in this series where we expand out the town. For the moment, we do have, if I click on that, no, it won't swap it to it. We need to go to residential U. This building, it has cold storage for 1.3 tons worth of meat already, which is more than enough. It also has stations for vehicles loading and unloading too, which means I can just drive a truck here, drop off the meat. But long term, I want to have a few more options. I want to have a bit more flexibility. So we're going to make sure that this has its own internal meat, well, its own freezer directly attached to it on one of those factory connections. All right. So that's going to be one of the basic things we need. Right in the center of town is a good place to put the market. The other thing that's going to be very important to put in the center of town is a bus station. Now, bus station wise, we do have under roads, obviously, bus stops. We do have a free bus stop. Now, I could put this in the middle of town. It is free. That means if you're playing realistic mode, it's going to be very easy to get rid of it, very easy to move it, all that sort of stuff. But the problem is this is going to be a permanent structure, and it's not something you're going to want to remove later and replace. So what I want to do is I want to aim for a bus stop. At the very minimum, a bus stop is going to allow 200 workers to stand here waiting to go to work. 200 workers is a good amount, but this is the city we've already worked out can max out around about 3,000 people. I don't think I'm going to have, 2,800 people working in the town. They're probably going to have to be transported to elsewhere to go to work. And as they don't have personal cars, it's probably going to be via a bus. So I want to look at a bus platform. Now, some of these bus platforms are very expensive, like this one at 8,000 rubles and only carries 500 workers. This one's 3,000 rubles, but only carries 230 workers. This one is 5,000 rubles and 4,000 workers, which is a lot cheaper and very close to this one. This is 6,000 workers and 7,000 rubles. So again, more workers, a little bit cheaper. Does have one less vehicle loading and unloading station, But then I have the big one. The big one is 800 workers. 800 workers should be more than enough to not only carry your new town from the start game, but really into the mid game, because that is a lot of people you can move around in, well, at least one direction. So we're going to be placing a bus depot, a bus platform, the big one. It is a 10,000 ruble building, but I want to put this, well, in the middle of the town, sort of aiming back towards the north. It does have a one-way in, so that's a one way for the road in, one way for the road out, which is perfectly fine by me. And we're going to give ourselves just a little bit of gap off the main road and drop that there. With that done, I want to have this at like a 45-degree angle. We can see the azimuth there is at 55. Good enough. And the idea is the bus will come in here. It will be turning on the right-hand side, so it is going to have to cross the traffic. But once it's done, it's going to exit here. It's going to turn right and be able to go over to our industrial zone near the border. That way, half the pollution flows over the border. I don't need to worry about it. All right. With that done, I want to put in my small shopping center. I want to aim to have my small shopping center roughly about here. I don't know exactly where, so we're going to hold down the controls so it doesn't get any extra paths and attachments to it, and we're going to dump that right there. Next one is I want to have the warehouse. I do want to have that factory connection be built and the roadway. Now, ideally, we have a three-way T-junction here. In a perfect world, I'd end up with a four-way or a five-way by making sure that wherever I put this connects into this main road. Also, the freezer, which I'm about to put right in front of this warehouse, but I don't know if that's possible. So we're going to dump you there to start with, and then we're going to grab the refrigerator or the cold meat storage and put you here. I don't need the factory connection between the meat storage and... I don't need the factory connection between the meat storage and the warehouse, so that one doesn't matter, but the one between the meat storage and the shopping center does matter. So we can see that we can just work this in. By the same token, if I moved everything further north, we might have a better opportunity. Can I look at that? Too sharp of a turn. Okay. No, we're going to leave that as is. I think that's pretty good. Yeah. It does mean that this warehouse is... Trucks that need to get into this warehouse have to use this road that I was hoping just to reserve for buses, but it's probably not going to be too bad. It's not going to be super high traffic, so it should be fine. All right, so we have our very first basics up and running. I can remove those, and we can get on to our next things that we need to organize. So in the Republic, you need to build everything. You need to provide the transport, you need to provide the education, you need to provide everything there is. So we should probably jump into... state infrastructure. Yep, state infrastructure. Let's jump to there. So we need to have our emergency services. So we're going to start with a clinic first, and we're going to make sure the clinic is directly opposite the bus stop. Now, why am I doing this? Well, the simple answer is people are going to walk to the bus stop first. After they walk to the bus stop, they're going to look for any attractions they need, any job opportunities they need. Otherwise, they're going to wait to get on a bus and go to somewhere to go to preferably work, or possibly other attractions if you enable that as an option. For us right now, we're going to put a clinic here also because, well, the bus stop's going to be fairly close to the middle of town. Therefore, now the clinic is fairly close to the middle of town. Therefore, hopefully it should get employment. Also, at the same time, it should get access to the people that can reach the bus stop should probably be able to access the clinic as well. It's sort of important that we have some sort of healthcare. All right, with the clinic now done, I need to go back to state infrastructure. We need to talk about our next option, which is going to be the fire station. Now, well, actually, hospitals. Really quickly, we went for a small clinic. It's only going to cover 15 patients, but it does have a station for vehicles loading and a parking spots for vehicles 1, which means it does have an ambulance here, which can go pick up patients should they not be able to quite be able to walk to the clinic. We also have the option of the hospital, which is a little bit bigger, and then of course the large hospital, which is much bigger. It's going to be a little bit too much for our little republic as it stands. All right, next one is fire. We have 3 different options. We have the small fire station, we have the medium fire station, and we have the large fire station. It says a minimum number, or it says a maximum number of workers, which is sort of a lie. It doesn't really have a worker count. What it does have is it has parking spots for vehicles. So this has room for 2 vehicles, this has room for 4, and then this one has room for 8. Being the more vehicles you have, that's the more fire service vehicles you can park at the actual fire station, and that really decides how many workers that these buildings will require. So if I have a fire engine that only needs 10 workers and I put 2 of them in here, well, then this is going to have a maximum of only 20 workers. If I have 2 fire engines that have a capacity of 50 workers each, and I park them inside the small fire station, same story, we'd end up with a fire station that needs 100 workers to maintain it and keep it running. Now, the other important thing with the fire stations, this is one of the few emergency services that doesn't require heat. So if we look at our fire station, our other 2 fire stations, you have a hot water tank of 3 cubic meters, you have a hot water tank of 2.8 cubic meters. The small fire station doesn't have any sort of heating capacity, therefore I don't need to keep it warm. We need to put down one of these, but I want to make sure that it is not in the middle of town. It doesn't need to be in the middle of town. What it needs to be is, well, far away from the middle of town. So I want to take my measuring tool and I want to measure out here around about 400 meters. There looks about good. All right. What I want to do is I want to put in a footpath. I want to put a footpath right across the back of all the buildings so we have access out there for people that can walk their way to the bus stop and then walk their way to work, preferably to our fire station. We have a couple of choices. We can build a mud footpath. The problem with a mud footpath is it has a max walking speed of 50%, therefore they'll only walk half as far. The gravel footpath, which is actually very, very cheap to build, has a walking speed of 87%, also has a max speed for cars. Cars are going to end up driving on the footpaths, especially if you think of like emergency services. If a building only has access to a footpath, doesn't have access to, well, a road, they have no option but to drive on the footpath. So we're going to make sure we build at least the gravel paths. There is asphalt for a little bit more walking distance, but it's not going to affect the driving distance for the vehicles. So we're going to go with the gravel, and I want to go right across the back of the building. That's 400 meters. We're going to go a little bit further, and we're going to take that out to there. Okay. With that out there, I want to plug in the bus station, and then I can get my fire station. I'm going to spin over there this way so I can look, and I want to make sure that, no, zoom out please. I want to make sure that we can reach that bus stop. So as we can see, we're coming up to 400 meters. That was our 400 meter mark line. We're at, where? 416 meters. We're going to go with about 400 meters worth of walking distance from our bus stop and drop you right there, and then I'm going to put in a road right here. Now I do have a shorter path on this side, so if I build that in there and then go to this building, hover over this number, we can see that's down to 319. It's a little bit shorter, but the point is it is much further away from where we started. It's always also halfway close to the border, because when we put industry here, we want to make sure it has fire coverage as well. Okay, I don't need the measuring tool. We're going to delete all points and get back to square one. All right, I don't need that anymore. Now, this is 2 out of 3 emergency services. There is a third emergency service that we should probably talk about, and that is, of course, crime and justice. Now, the good news is, when it comes to crime and justice, is up to you have about 2,000 people. People are pretty good about, well, responding to the honor system. There's a lot of peer pressure, a lot of making sure that we don't, steal everything. So you don't have to really worry about the police station, the courthouse, and the prison until stage 2. Stage 2 of expanding out of town. So I'm going to put these down as part of stage 2. We're not going to build them yet. We're going to be building them when we're up to that point. But I want to make sure that I have a police station ready to go. We're going to be dumping that right there. The police station only works if it has a courthouse, so we can actually sentence the people that we've, captured and made sure that they actually did the crime. And then at the same time, we're going to want to have a prison. Now, I only need a small prison, and I want to put this up near the fire station because I'm actually going to be taking the poor saps that end up in prison off to our industrial area and forcing them to work. I want to put this in range of that bus depot, and if we put you right about here, where are we? We can see it's about 230-ish meters to our store. But if I put you there and then I take a footpath and I run the footpath up to there, then hover over this, it's now going to bring it down to 237 meters, which is still not quite close enough. But if I put a road, well, a dirt road through there, and then take a footpath and run it along the main road here, and then into there. Does that get us close enough yet? 355 to the warehouse. Can I get a path through to there and through to there? And we're at 380 meters. So it's very, very much on the edge of our build. But as long as I have some sort of direct footpath, we should be okay. It's not being built till stage 2, so I can always you know, slide it a little bit further to the right should I need to. But for right now, it can live right there. Let's split that into 2 jobs. Has it? I think it has. If that happens, you can just delete a section, join them back together, and you're going to be like that, are you? Fine, be like that. There are ways to fix that, but that's beyond the scope of this video. All right, so we have our courthouse, we have our police station, we have our prison. We've got most of our emergency services up and running, but there's still a few more things we need to cover. So under state infrastructure, we're going to have to cover education, also, well, children, yep, and residential next. No, let's go with state infrastructure. All right, we need to cover a few more things. So we need to cover, well, education outright. Now, doesn't matter unless you're on easy difficulty. I think easy difficulty, you don't have to worry about education different levels at all. We're going to choose for medium difficulty that you have to. So we're going to have to look at a kindergarten, which comes in 3 different sizes. We have the small, we have the medium, we have the large. Generally, the small is going to be enough. And the only important thing you need to remember about this is people walk to the bus stop first before looking to go to work. The catch is, if they have a child between the ages of 0 and 6, they do not want to get on the bus with that child. So they're going to walk to a kindergarten first, which means I can't put the kindergarten down so I know where the town is, where the house is going to be. So we're going to be putting that over there. For now, we'll pick it up later when we get to actually popping it down somewhere. All right, next thing I need to look at is the school. Now, school has a 7-worker school, which handles 84 people, plus it has a 156 children's school for 13 workers, plus a 540 and a 360. You're a little bit big, and if I press the Q and E button, I can swap between some of them. We're going to go with not the 7. I think the 7... Actually, we could probably get away with the 7. That's 84 people. We're talking about 3,000 people, so we're talking about 0.3% of the population being of school age. We play it safe and build a big one. I think we're going to play it safe and we're going to build a big one. All right. We're going to be popping the school. Okay, press R to rotate it around. And you can always press T to flip it. We're going to put the school right about here. Right beside the shopping center, because at the end of the day, well, they need to be able to walk to... Actually, can I move you over just a bit? I didn't place down a temporary one first. Okay. Can I move you over a little bit? Yeah. So we're going to place that right there. And yes, you can always press T to flip the building. We'll mirror it, and R to rotate it by 90 degrees. Otherwise, well, you can always use your mouse wheel to spin it around slowly. Oh, slowly. You want to spin it around very slowly. You can hold down the control whilst you use your mouse wheel, and that'll spin it very slowly. All right. So that should get us a school. All right, last thing we need to talk about is our university. Now, university, we have 3 different flavors. We have the medical university, we have the technical university, and we have the headquarters of the Communist Party. These affect which research trees you open up, because there are 3 different tech trees. If we go to question answers, the scientist, what is it, a research? This let us look at the tech tree. Anything that's white is accessible only with the medical university. Anything that's blue is accessible with the technical university. Anything that's red is accessible with the party university. So if we scroll down this list, because there's a lot of white stuff at the top, there's a lot of blue, there's a little bit of red hidden behind the blue, there's more blue, a lot more blue, an awful lot more blue, some red stuff, and then red stuff at the bottom. All right, I'm going to intentionally choose to go for the headquarters, the red research. The reason being is this will give us very early access to the distribution office. The distribution office will let us have, rather than a vehicle driving from point A to point B to, say, point C, D, E, and then driving back to the start and doing the loop over and over, we can have a vehicle that is told, hey, once this warehouse, this storage, whatever it is, gets down to a certain percentage of, running out of materials, that's when I want you to go and top it up. I want you to go to, this is where you get the materials from, this is one of the possible locations they need to go, and drop them off. That's only accessible if we get the red research. Also at the same time, there's fire prevention. You're going to find fires are really annoying, so we might as well get this at the same time. Also means that this is likely to be the first university that frees up, that's not doing anything, and then its main job is going to be actually improving the education of your people in the Republic. So what I want to do is state infrastructure. We want to get a headquarters. I'm going to go for little headquarters. I don't need the big one. That's a little bit too expensive. It's going to be able to educate 420 students at once. Well, that's a blazing amount of students, but that doesn't help me right now. So we're going to go for a small party. Okay. And we can just, don't press shift at the same time. So it'll scroll me in. We can just pop you. Can I rotate you around? Sure. Can I just pop you right there beside the school? So we have a little bit of education, we have a little bit of food, and we should be good to go on to, well, residential. There's a number of things we need to cover in the residential. Starting off with housing, we have a couple of options. We have either small residential buildings, we have medium residential buildings, and we also have large residential buildings. Now, because we have research enabled, which is a medium and higher difficulty setting, I only have access to really the first buildings, the ones that are mainly made out of bricks. That's probably for the best, as these are the cheapest. The other ones get awfully expensive. Yes. So we have small buildings, which is fine. They technically work, but they only hold 20 workers. As our supermarket is good up to 3,000, putting down little buildings that only hold 20 workers is probably going to take up a lot of space. What I want to do is I want to look at, well, probably medium residential. There is large residential, but I'm going to intentionally choose medium for one very important reason. And we can see the stats of the buildings right there. The important one we're looking for is the quality of the flats. The quality is, think of it as like a soft cap on how happy people can be. If you give somebody everything that they need, but you then go house them in a slum at, well, they're all decent quality. 55 low quality rural flats. If you go house somebody in one of these, they're going to be upset all the time. So it's something you need to, consider. We're going to instead go for, well, the flats brick, this big one here, 110 workers. We do get a cost breakdown per flat, 174 rubles compared to 101 rubles. But you have a quality of flats 55, you have a quality of 87%, which means the maximum happiness they can get to is around about 87%. We do have the large one up here, but it has a slightly lower quality. So instead, we're going to pick this one. It's really the only one I'd recommend, and we need to talk about some of the options here. So these have access to a road, but the road is not required. If we, again, hover over that, we can see it doesn't mention parking spots for vehicles. Because it doesn't mention parking spots for vehicles, you don't need to provide them road access. They don't have any vehicles themselves. They don't have access to a car, so they don't need a road. I'm going to choose to give them a road, but that comes back to things we're going to cover in the next video, being on the harder difficulty settings, and mainly comes around with trash. Also, technically it helps if the ambulances can drive a little bit close to the houses. So I'm going to choose to put this here. I'm going to give ourselves just a little bit of a gap, enough to get a path through. And then I'm going to give myself a little bit of a wider gap and then another little gap. This is going to be 400 people. And then I'm going to press the R button twice to flip it around. And we're going to, do I want a gap between them? I think I want a gap between them for a footpath. Can I get a footpath right through there? We can tell I definitely built all the buildings dead straight, but that's okay because I have the one button, which I can use to just pick up the existing building and slide them around a little bit. So, rotate you around twice. No, I regret everything. Can I put one of those there? That's what I want. I should start at the other end. Can I go cancel footpath? And then if I hold down shift as I drag this out, I get a box and it says every footpath in that area needs to go away. Okay, I want to start this side. I want to put one here. I want to put the second one, little gap there, wider gap here, because I want to get a road through it, smaller gap there. Cool. Then can I get my footpath? I'm going to bring our footpath right the way up through to here. That's pretty straight, pretty happy with that. And we can just hook them into the footpath. And then this is the important thing. If I also give you a footpath, if I go to the bus platform and I hover over this, we can see that they can all definitely access that bus platform without a problem. All right, next thing I want to do is I want to bring this road all the way up through here, but I can't drag it through a footpath. What I can do is I can remove the footpath by just clicking, holding, and removing that small section, and then get a road from here through to there, please. Straight enough for me. And then plug each one of these into the road. And with that done, I can then bring my footpath through the road. Footpath through road, fine. Road through footpath, not fine. Order of operations really matters. Okay, so then I want to mirror this on the back. So each one of these 110 people. So that brings us up to about 800 people. Can I get another road? Again, just use the one button to select the dirt road. Grab the dirt road from there to there. Can I do a small cancel footpath? Just that section so I can get the road through and into the main road. And then we put the footpath back. Okay. Good enough, and we can hook these in. Yeah, you can build things as straight and as perfect as you want. You can accept that there's a little bit more gap from one building to the next to the main road. You can remove the whole thing and make sure it's perfectly neat, perfectly straight. That's entirely up to you. All I can tell you is in the Republic, nothing was straight, nothing was neat. So I'm perfectly happy with this particular setup. Now, this is going to give us room for 880 people. I'm pretty happy with that, but I'm going to be a lot happier if I can double it. So we're going to put one there. Well, double it. Increase another row. Can I move that? Okay, no, you should be fine like that. And there. All right. One thing I want to do is I do want to grab this footpath and drag it through. Put another footpath right behind this slot here. Drag that through to there. Make sure you're all plugged in. Okay, that missed entirely. Plug that into there, plug that into there, plug that into there. Bring this footpath all the way through. I want to put a footpath through here as well, just to give us better access overall. That can go through to there, and that should be enough. That's enough for 1,200 people. If I hover over this, we can see everybody can reach. Funnily enough, this guy, the fastest way for him to get there is, well, up the main path and then across here, not using the footpath access at the back. But everybody can reach the bus stop. That's what really matters. All right. So we have our people. We now also have our bus stop. We have our basic city services, our basic emergency services, but there's a couple of other services we need. So first off, I need to keep the people happy. I also need to make sure that they have some of the other amenities they need. If we go back to residential, we can see there's alcohol. Alcohol is an option. We can use alcohol to boost their overall happiness. We did say that they had a maximum happiness, like a soft cap of 87%. It can go above that. One of the ways we can make it go above that is with booze. If I give them booze, we can definitely push that up higher. There's a catch with that. It's going to lower their overall health and also their lifespan. So it's something I prefer to avoid. But it is an option if you're desperate. The other thing that they're going to want access to is some sort of, well, culture. So we're going to throw in a house of culture. House of culture is very, very cheap. The catch is, where are I? It only has 5 workers, so it doesn't need many workers. It only has 30 visitors. If we have a population of 1,000 people, it's probably going to be very close to its cap, but that's going to be enough to get us started. I'm going to intentionally put this in right at the bus stop, because if we can access the bus stop, we can access the whole House of Culture. And I want to try and put this about as far back as I can, because I would really like to... can I just grab any old footpath? Get a footpath across the front of this. Yep, that'll do me. And you just need a connection. Doesn't have to be the shortest connection, just a connection. That'll do. That'll do. All right. Can I also get a footpath, preferably from there to there? Yeah. Because if I have anybody needs to get to the bus stop from this direction, like our prison, I want them to be able to walk along a footpath rather than walk along a road, because, well, the dirt road has a walking speed of 50%. A gravel road has a walking speed of 62%. So I prefer it if they had a footpath that also keeps them off the main road. Less accidents, sure. That's the reason I'm going to go with. Can I throw that in there? All right. So that's going to give us access to some culture. Problem is, it's going to be sort of maxed out fairly quickly. We do have the amphitheater. It's one of the new buildings just added for version 1.0. It is a little bit bigger, but it only works in the summer months. So it doesn't work under 10 degrees. And hopefully I can put you... you're going to be very close if I put you there. I can put the amphitheater over here. Yeah, we're going to put the amphitheater over here. I'm pretty confident I can get there. Oh, actually, we can go all the way up to the fire station. You know what? We're going to go up near the fire station. Is that footpath broken? That footpath might be broken. Can I cancel footpath? Can I remove that section, and just do that? Cool. Yeah, so we can get to the bus stop, therefore everybody can get to the amphitheater. All right. Other one I want to put in, but this is going to be a stage 2 build, is we want to put in a cinema. Cinema is a lot more expensive. It does have the advantage of it works all year round, but also you might notice it has a road connection, but if I hover over it, it doesn't mention that it has a parking spot for a vehicle, therefore the road connection is entirely optional. You can provide the road connection, you also don't have to. We're going to throw you, well, absolutely anywhere, honestly. Can I throw you in here? Sure. We're just going to build towards the fire station a little bit. Yeah, we're happy with that there. You're going to need a footpath, so we're going to put a footpath from here I can't put a footpath crossing into a road. That's going to be my only problem. Can I copy that? Okay, without the footpath. Without that footpath. Can I copy you? Put you there. Can I swap those two around? So I can put you... That's still probably going to give me the exact same problem because you're about the same width. Can I put you there? Can I put you here? And then we can take a footpath sort of at an odd angle up to here and then plug that in. That's going to be good enough for right now. Okay. We know all this is in range of the bus stop, so we don't have to worry about that too much. Next thing I need to look at is going to be... we're set to auto build. I want to do that one. Okay, too late. All right, next thing I want to look at is we've got culture organized. We also need to look at sports. Now, sports, we have a couple of options. We need to have something that's going to be operational all year round. Okay, the best one for us is going to be the indoor pool. That's why I had it on there, so we can look at how much things are going to cost in rubles. All right, so the indoor pool is our best option for workers to visitors ratio and also cost. We can see this one's about 11,000 rubles. This one's 50,000 rubles. This one's 30,000 rubles, and this 23,000 rubles. This one's only available if you happen to own the DLC. Well, the Ukraine DLC. That's the one. So we're going to go with the indoor pool. And again, it doesn't mention that it has a need for road vehicles. So we can put this absolutely anywhere. And again, I'm going to choose to put this... yeah, we're going to put this over here with our amphitheater. Okay, we're going to throw you in there. And then I'm going to grab another footpath through here, and that should do us for right now. All right. The other thing we need to throw down is some other sports attractions that can be used during the off season. So this is anytime we're in the summer months, it is warmer outside, we can use any one of these. And these you really want to just drop in anywhere. If you find a spot, a gap where you can fit them, go throw them in. The only thing you want to make sure is you don't want to pick any of these buildings that only has one worker. Reason you want to avoid these ones is if there's one worker there and that worker finishes their shift and goes on break, it means the 22 visitors there, whether their needs are fulfilled or not, get booted out. Prefer to avoid that. So we have an outdoor swimming pool. That's probably going to work, except we already have an indoor swimming pool, so maybe avoid that one. Basketball and volleyball court. That's nice and tiny. Can I put you in front of the bus station? No. How about here? Sure, we can throw you in here. I'm going to throw you in... here. All right. Can I also throw in basketball, volleyball court, bigger one? We have a football field. Sure, we can have some sports ball. Sports ball can go here. And we have a volleyball court. That's 3 workers. That's perfectly fine. We'll throw you there. We got a little bit of sports attractions. All right. Last one's the city stadium. That's probably a little bit too big for us now, considering that is 42,000 rubles. That's an awful lot of rubles. All right. So last thing we haven't built is going to be the kindergarten. I need to make sure that every single person here can access this kindergarten by, well, using the footpaths, and we can't get the back corner in. So if I want to get the back corner in, can I just give you a direct access there, a direct access there, and maybe that's going to be all I need. Can I pick you back up? And yes, they can now reach if I put the kindergarten here in the corner. So we're going to throw that down right there. Yeah, that's everything. Okay, so that is our town setup. Now, there are some things that I haven't covered. Well, we haven't dealt with water because that's not available in easy and medium. We haven't covered power and we haven't covered heating. So we've got a couple of things we still need to do. Let's go with electricity first. Electricity is fairly easy in all things considered. We have our power connection here from our neighboring republic, which is where we're going to be getting our power for right now. We need to set this to import, and I need to max this out, okay? You only pay for the power that you end up actually using, so we just want to put a maximum cap of all the power possible. I need to have a switch, okay? High voltage switch is the very first thing I need, and this is literally like a power strip. We need to bring the power in and then separate it out from 1 connection into 6 connections. We're going to be dumping that right about here because we just need to put it somewhere. I'm going to use the highest voltage wires I can, and I'm going to come straight across and then straight down. Now, important things about power cables is, even if I take something small, like a sports. Oh. I can't put this underneath the power lines. That's a game limitation. Can't put anything under the power lines. Also can't build the power lines over anything. So it's something you need to keep in mind. But after I've brought in my high voltage, I need to swap over to medium voltage before actually bring power into the people. So to do that, I'm going to need a power transformer. We're going to be popping a power transformer right here. Now this has 2 road connections, which you would assume means that, well, you can run power, you can run a vehicle through this build and, well, through the power transformer and out the other side. That's a falsity. What it is, well, you can build it from one side or the other. That's really all it means. So I'm going to put that directly opposite, and that means it gives me, well, as we saw, 6 connections out to 6 possible substations. I don't need to have 15 megawatt wires to go from one to the other. There's no way this is going to use 15 megawatts. We could do 10, we could do 8. You could probably, oh, there's a 14 in there. We could probably do a 4. I'm going to choose to do 10 because I still think 10 is going to be overkill. And look, at the end of the day, it's only 900 rubles. It's not going to be a big difference. Doesn't matter what wire I pick. All right. So with that done, I need to put in some substations. Substations do have a couple of limitations on them. Okay. The electrical substation has a maximum power that it can output of 2.5 megawatts worth of power. So as you can see, if I drag this out, it's going to connect to a certain amount of buildings. And once you build it, it'll tell you how close to that maximum it is. But if you're still in the planning stage where nothing's actually built, that might not help you as much as you want. So what I need to do is I need to work out roughly how many of these I'm going to need. If we look at our residents, we look at our flats, we can see these use 110 kilowatts each. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12. That's 1.2 megawatts worth of power because it's 1,000 kilowatts to a megawatt. So it means that this block of houses is going to use half this substation's capacity. I need to make sure I put this somewhere where I get wires to it. So we're going to choose to put this, rotate around. If I hold down control, that gets rid of the little box. If I hold down shift, it gets rid of all the yellow the yellow connections. And I'm going to put this here on this main road, just so we have some sort of idea of where we're going to put it. That means I can run the power wires, well, up and along this footpath. All right, that's not going to power up our cinema, our police cinema. It's not a police station, it's a fire station, and our prison. I sort of want to put this over here. Okay, we're going to put a second substation here off the main road, which automatically means I'm actually going to move all of this further along. So can I put you back over there? Can I put you here? We're going to cancel high voltage wires. Those ones, I can cancel that building, cancel that building. And did that cancel the wires all the way back? No, it didn't. Can I cancel that wire, that wire, that wire, that wire? And that's good enough that I can now hopefully select that and select that. And there we go, it's connected. And plug that in there. And then go to the 10s, bring a 10 in there. And then I need to pick a lower wattage wire. So lower wattage wire, we have a couple of options. We have 0.65, 1.5, 1.2, 2.35. There's not a big cost difference between, well, the biggest wires and the smallest wires. So I really recommend you just put in the biggest wires possible. We do have a limitation here that I can only put 2.35 megawatts through this wire, which technically the substation can do 2.5 megawatts, but that's only if you feed it 2.5 megawatts. You can run a second wire to here if you need to, or you can plug this into 2 different power networks if you want to make sure you had redundancy, because fires are a thing, but we're going to leave that for future videos and future topics. I'm going to run this power wire up here. I'm going to run it along the footpath to here and then into that substation. Now, it does mean that I might have problems building buildings on this side of this footpath in the future. I could probably run it on this side of the footpath, and honestly, if you want to spend the time running on that side of the footpath, it's not a bad idea. I get to here. Oh, this might be easier than I thought. Okay, can I build that to there? Can I cancel that whole wire? If I hold down shift, no, if I draw a box, that'll delete all of it in one hit. Can I grab that and bring that up to, where are we going to? Up to there. Can I cancel that one, and then run that through to, that's unfortunate, I don't really want the extra wire there. Okay, fine. We're going to have one extra connection right at the end. Can I cancel that one? And so this is our main wire. I should be able to take that to here and then to there. Cool. That should be a wire connected. If I click on it, it all looks like it's lighting up, so I'm very happy. And that should give me plenty of freedom to build things on the other side in the future. You're going to be in my way. Yeah, there's a few that are going to be in my way. It's fine. Nothing's actually built yet. All right, so that's our power. Last thing is heat. Now, heat, we have a couple of options. We have a small heating plant and we have a large heating plant. The small heating plant has a hot water tank of 450 cubic meters. The large heating plant has a hot water tank of 1,050 meters. They're the two important numbers that really matter. All right, well, actually, there's a third number there, and that's the amount of pollution it puts out. You output 26.5 tons per year. Of course, that only comes out during the winter months when it's actually active. You only do 7 tons per year. Generally, you want to keep your pollution at about 1,000 meters away from the people, and then they're probably going to live a long, happy life. But there's a couple of catches with that. One, you don't provide heat 1,000 meters away. So we do have the option of running some heating pipes. We have both small heating pipes and also large heating pipes, which we can bring to, well, a heat exchanger nice and close to the town to provide them with heat. As I said, you do 450 meters, you do 1,050 meters. Our heat exchangers come in a 300 meter size and they come in a 100 meter size. So trying to get to 450 or 1,050 is very, very difficult, but we're going to do our best. The way we're going to be doing our best is we're not going to be using heat exchangers. What we're going to be doing for our first town is I'm going to be taking a small heating plant and I'm going to be putting this over here and making sure we're heating everything in the town directly from the heating plant. It is going to lead to some pollution problems. It is going to lead to a small hassle for some of the people, but this is going to be one of our stopgaps that we're going to be putting in temporarily to then replace it and fix it later with our stage 2 build. So I want to put you in right about there. I want to make sure we have that road connection, and we're going to throw you down right here. Now, with you down, I can put in a footpath. Now everybody can walk to work. That's going to be very, very important. And I'm also going to put a heat exchanger, a large one, in the same location for later. Now, I don't need to build that. That's part of stage 2, but I want it in place so when I remove this, I already have the replacement infrastructure in place. Now, one thing we need to talk about very quickly is when it comes to our heat exchangers, our heat pipes, our plumbing, all sorts of things. Going above ground is always cheaper than going underground. And that's by an awful lot. If I look at a heating pipe, let's go with a 300 meter, because that's one we're going to be using in the future. And I go for 100 meters. 100 meters above ground is going to cost me just over 5,000 rubles. And if I go with the below ground version and 100 meters, that's 6,000 rubles. Okay, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but if we go on to realistic mode and I do 100 meters, that's 195 work days, an awful lot of gravel, boards, concrete, and steel, 12 tons worth of steel, 1.4 tons of mechanical components. If I do the above ground version and drag that to there, it is a little bit less steel, a tiny bit more mechanical components. Those two basically even out, but it's also the work days. That was 100 work days. Can I click on that? No. I need to activate it first. And then I can click on them. That is 102 work days. That's 200 work days. It's the same length of pipe. It's just underground, and it's now going to take twice as long. So we're going to be doing underground stuff only when you have to in the future. But right now, we're going to be keeping things above ground, which is why we're going to be leaving, you know, our heat exchanger and underground plumbing for our, well, stage 2 construction. Stage 2, we'll be building a heating plant. We'll be making sure, I should do this in reverse, because the underground heating pipes are only good for 1,000 meters. We're going to see 1,000 meters about here somewhere. So if I just leave you there for 2 seconds, we're going to part of stage 2, put in a big heating plant, probably all the way out here. Can I flip you like so? And we'll build that. But that we're definitely not doing now. Okay, so with that out of the way, that is going to bring us to the end of stage 1. This is our stage 1 build. This is pretty much everything we need. The next video I need to cover, well, the extra things that we're going to need for medium and hard difficulty. That is going to be, of course, plumbing, both sewage and also clean water. Also need to cover waste. Haven't dealt with that at all because, of course, that's not in the easy and the medium settings. The other things we need to cover is, good question, game settings, water, waste, maintenance, and also how to get our very first industry up and running and start making some profits. So they're going to be things we're covering in the next video. I am going to remind you very early on, I did ask whether I could borrow a like. I still like to borrow that like. I'd like to keep that like if you found the video helpful, if you found the video informative, if it got you along your way. Also, I'll remind you that in the description is going to be a save. It's going to be a save at this very point. If you want to download this save, you want to start from this point, it gives you at least a starting block. But I'm going to remind you, yes, we're going to have that second video coming out in the not too distant future, which will be covering, well, the waste, the water, the other things needed to take you up from hard, well, from medium to hard and to realistic difficulty. Also, some optimizations you can do with the construction officers to actually build everything in realistic mode, and our very first industry, so we can start actually turning a profit, making some rubles back, because when we build this, it's not going to be cheap. It's going to put a sizable dent in the very limited amount of budget I have, but then again, I am playing on, well, hard money, so it shouldn't be too bad. All right, either way, I'm going to leave this video here. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed, and I invite you to come back for the very next video. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.